Welcome back to LDB Games. I'm Lord Darth Balls, and this is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Before we get started, I just set up a Discord server. When you go down and click that little subscribe button to subscribe to my channel, click the Discord link as well, and come get involved in my new community. So, in this video, I'm going to be going through how I farm Spider 24. There are a couple changes to the boss that make it a little bit more difficult to complete. However, there are still some very free-to-play friendly options for completing this dungeon and being able to acquire higher level gear. Let's get into it. So you might be asking yourself, why am I farming stage 24 and not stage 25? Well, the energy cost for stage 25 is slightly higher than 24, and the drop rates are near identical. So while there is a slightly better chance of getting a 6-star accessory from stage 25, the energy per run is lower on stage 24, and you can farm more runs and get more gear in the long term. So there are two unique changes to the boss that happen when you pass stage 20, right? So stages 21 and 25 have some slightly different mechanics, and they come in the form of two unique passives. On one hand, Almighty Strength. Damage from skills that scale based on enemy max HP cannot exceed 10% of the boss's max HP. So this severely handicaps huge damage dealers like Septimus, Coldheart, Husk, and Royal Guard from really hitting for their damage potential. I mean, my Coldheart can hit from like 4 to 4.3 million damage per hit, and you cannot exceed 1 million with this passive. So it forces you to find an alternative way to beat this boss. And then Almighty Resistance, which reduces all turn meter effects by 50%. So there really isn't a very effective way to prevent the spider from getting her turn, which is another effective strategy. So you have to figure out a way to tank the damage that comes in while still chipping away at the boss's health. So let's take a look at the champions that I've brought into my team. So I'm going to start with Ultimate Death Knight. Ultimate Death Knight was free through, he was a login champion, pretty cool event that Plarium did, in my opinion. He's the legendary version of a common champion, and he's pretty powerful in like some low-key ways. So his A1 has a chance of doing landing a provoke. Chance increases against legendary champions, so that's really only in the arena. His A2 is an AoE with a decreased attack and a fear on legendary champions, so it's only the decreased attack, right? That only comes into the arena. His A3 places a shield and a continuous heal buff on all eyes for 2 turns. The value of the shield is proportional to his defense, so you can really maximize that shield by buffing up his defense. And his passive, he's got 2 passives. So on one hand, every time an ally dies, it increases his, every time an ally remains dead, right? When an ally is dead, it increases his HP, defense, and speed by 10%. So the more allies that die, the tankier and faster he becomes. And then this is the really big passive that comes into play here. Too awesome to die. So whenever any ally is attacked, it has a 100% chance of completely blocking 1 hit, decreasing the incoming damage to 0. Instead, Ultimate Death Knight will take that damage. It'll redirect any debuffs, any status changes, any effects, anything over to Ultimate Death Knight. And the chances of blocking a hit and redirecting the buffs decreases to 50% if the attacker is a boss. And it does not work if the attack on the ally was an AoE. Also, whenever an enemy is healed, heals this champion by 20% of that heal. So this passive comes into direct play in this dungeon. So I'm going to go over that in a little bit. Let's go through his stats first. I have him built in 6-piece stone skin. This is not necessary. I also use him in the arena. So this is really geared towards the arena. However, what you want to shoot for is, I would probably say 250 to 300 resistance. If not over 300, to resist the poisons from the spiderlings. You'll notice he's very slow. I don't care about his speed. And he's got some really nice defense, right? 4,600 defense. So defense and resistance are pretty much the only stats that I care about in Ultimate Death Knight's build. And I don't even have masteries on him. He doesn't need books. These aren't booked. He doesn't need masteries. All he needs is defense and resistance, and away we go. Coming in next is, oh, I'm missing one here. A free-to-play champion, Syl the Drake. So you get her, I believe, at 180 days, and she is an incredible champion. She can carry you through a tremendous amount of content. Her A1 has a decreased speed on it, which is super helpful to slow the boss down, and also has a 30% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter, books to 50, by 15%. And any turn meter reduction in this fight is very useful, even though it's reduced. Her A2 is incredible as well. It's a double AoE each hit with a 20% books to 35 of placing a stun to control those spiderlings. She's got a revive, which doesn't really come into play here. It can just help you finish this fight out with a single revive. And then she's got a really cool passive, which heals all allies by 10% of their max HP at the start of every turn, and also places an increased speed on a random ally for 2 turns. It's kind of cool. I have her built near 100% crit rate, actually. That's kind of cool. She's, moderately fast with a substantial amount of defense and enough accuracy to do the job. Next up, you'll notice a familiar character in here, Coldheart, built in Savage and Cruel, rocking 322 crit damage. She comes in for her A3. Now, the max HP ability is capped at about 740,000 damage, so it's not her huge hit, but it still is impactful. But in this, it's more important about the turn meter reduction, to try to limit the amount of turns the boss gets. You can't get rid of them with the turn meter reduction capability. At least I can't. Let me know down below if you're able to. That's pretty cool. But outside that, the rest of her kit doesn't really do much here. She's got an AoE with a decreased accuracy. Can help if you don't get Ultimate Death Knight's resistance high enough. And she's got a quad hitter on the A1. The important things other than the damage tree and her masteries is Evil Eye, because when she pops off her first A1, she has the ability to knock back a little bit of the spider's turn meter with this mastery, which is pretty useful if you ask me. Coming in next is an uncommon. This guy is one of the best uncommons in the game. I use him in one of my Scarab teams. I'll post that video up top so you guys can check it out. He comes in for his A1, which is one of the best A1s in the game. As long as it's a crit, decreases the turn meter by 30%. So all you really need is crit damage and accuracy. You can see he's running moderately fast, but his stats are pretty low. He's uncommon with very low base stats. Very difficult to build tanky. And then the star of the show you saw coming in with the bulk of the damage is Mordecai. Ooh, he's missing a ring. Mordecai comes in. He has an incredible kit, and there's a promo code active that allows you to get this champion from the beginning when you start a new account. And he is an incredible champion to get in the beginning. He's got an A1 that it's a single attack, has a 30% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 10%. Any turn meter reduction is huge. And has a 60% instead if the target is under an HP burn. So once you get the HP burn out, this has a 60 books to 75% chance, which is pretty massive. The A2 has a books to 100% chance of decreasing the turn meter of all enemies by 15%, and fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. Just a nice little turn meter swing. And the best part of his kit is his A3. This has a books to 100% chance of placing HP burn debuff on all enemies for 2 turns, and puts an increased attack on all allies for 3 turns. Buffs up my team for damage, and throws the HP burn out on the spiderlings. I don't have his masteries done yet, though there is some really good stuff that can be gotten from these masteries. I'll inevitably get around to it. I've got him built moderately fast with enough accuracy to do the job, and that is that. So before I let the run play and you can see how it goes, let's go over the AI because the AI is kind of important. I want Ultimate Death Knight starting with his A1, but other than that, I leave it all the same. I want Mordecai opening with his A2. Other than that, leave it the same. I want Cold Heart opening with her A1. From that mastery, she gets a little bit of turn meter reduction on the boss, and I want to save her Heartseeker until the boss has a little bit more turn meter. I also want Heartseeker to be priority 1. Her standard AI puts Art of Pain first. Armiger, I don't want him using his A2. All I care about is him keeping the turn meter of the spider as back as much as possible. And then Scylla the Drake, I want her opening with her A1 to try to land that decreased speed as much as possible. Outside that, I want her prioritizing her A2 for the AoE stun to control the spiderlings. So, let's get into the run. So we've got the AoE HP burn coming out. I could use to slow Mordecai down a little bit to get the those last two spiderlings to get the HP burn on. However, it's not a critical change. It would just overall probably increase the speed of the run, but I don't know how measurably. I'd have to play around with it and test it. But you can see we're running to the end of the first string of HP burns, and the spider should be getting her turn pretty soon to wipe out her own spiderlings, throw an AoE out, and actually heal from the number of lings that she consumes. So that first hit, yep, there's a chunk of heal right there. You'll see my team is still alive, mainly because of Ultimate Death Knight's decreased attack on his A2, which comes in pretty useful. Second round of AoE HP burn comes into play. Armiger doing his thing, keeping the turn meter back. Such a great uncommon champion. I really wish there was a comparable like legendary. I mean, there are some comparable legendaries, but like nobody as good as Armiger. Like nobody does the job the way Armiger does. Even Allure doesn't quite compare because her thing is a triple random hit, so you can't use her here. She won't only hit the boss; she'll hit the spiderlings too. And there he is. About a minute 30 goes down. Pretty simple way to take down Spider 24 and get yourself some really good gear. So that's what I got, guys. I hope this helps. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. I appreciate the view. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down there and come join my Discord to get involved in my new community. I've been Lord Darth Balls. I'll catch you on the next video. Enjoy your raid.